Y'all want to see something cool? Boner phone, get it? Extra long style, baby. Ooh, it's Lauren. Should I answer on this live stream, y'all? Fuck it.
Hi, babe. You doing okay?
Okay, I was actually making some pizza to cope with this shit.
And I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it hurts.
I know, but I'm here. I'll cheer you up.
You look amazing. That helps.
Good. Just let it all out.
I will. Thank you. I lost the election today.
Oh, honey, let me cheer you up.
You're amazing. Wait, what?
Want me to shove it up my...
Oh my God, Lauren! Oh no.
What I found, a cute little white pine cone.
Oh wow, that's adorable.
I know. I pretended it was yours for the night.
You did? That's so sweet.
Of course. Sweet dreams.
Oh, hello, everybody. Thanks for coming over from Robert, all you watchers. You got to start right at the beginning of the show. You got to see my first little video there. I like to play a little video for a little laughs. I want to thank you to Robert Gouveia for rating the stream. Thank everyone for coming over. Yes, thank you, Neuro, over there on the Rumbles. Thank you, everyone, for coming over on YouTube and Rumble. We're going to cover some news tonight. I got some very good stories. We're going to talk about Trump's executive order saying that banks must have proof of citizenship to have people have bank accounts. We're also going to talk about the indictment of Castro. I know you guys covered that on Rob, but I kind of got to cover it myself too, because otherwise, it's not really a news show if I kind of skip that one, but I'll try to save that till later. But also we're going to talk about the IRS dropping all claims against Trump and promising that they're not going to do any further audits or any type of investigations for anything prior to January 1st, 2026 or something like that. So settled all those cases. There is also the two biggest scumbags, well, not the two biggest, but two of the biggest scumbags that were part of the J6 fraud. The cops, two of the cops have tried, and they got preemptive pardons from Biden. They tried to sue to stop the weaponization fund. They have no standing. We're going to talk about it, but it's going to be crazy. And, we got that one too. So we'll talk about that. And then if we get there to bonus content, we're going to talk about a Tennessee man that was jailed over a Charlie Kirk post. Just won an $835,000 settlement because, it seems like maybe he shouldn't have been arrested. Like he didn't really break the law. Kind of, stuff's been coming up a bit lately with the different peoples talking about the different standards and stuff. And we have Brandenburg. So please, if you just got over here, if you would be so kind as to hit the like button, if you like the show, if you like the show and you would like to see more of the shows, please subscribe and come back on another day and see us other times. The way this show works, it's usually about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I try to get as many news stories out as possible. I throw in my opinions, but I do try to stick to the facts as much as possible, as facts as best I understand them. Also, we have, like I said, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. What we do is we have a goal every show. If we hit the $100 in total donations across all platforms, YouTube Super Chats, Rumble Rants, becoming a member, gifting memberships on YouTube or Rumble. We also have links for Cash App, PayPal, Coffee, Ko-Fi, and Super Tips, and also Locals coins and Kick and Twitch memberships, stuff like that. We add it all up. When we hit 100, we add an extra hour to the show. And then for each additional $100 that comes in, we add an additional hour to the show. So the show could be as long as you want it to be. The show could be 2 hours long. The show could be 3 hours long, 4 hours long, however long. It's totally up to you guys, the audience, that is. And then as an added little bonus, when we hit $50, I activate Bellavision for the evening. All right. Yes. And this is what Bellavision looks like right there. There she is. She's scratching. I'm not begging. I'm just saying the show's going to be 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And this is it. This is the pitch for the goal. That's it. It's not begging. Jeez. Wow. That was pretty mean thing to say about the begging. Anyway, so there's Bella. That's where she hangs out. And let's get right into the first news story of the evening. What do you say? Right here. So new J6 celebrity cops, Harry Dunn and Daniel Hodges, both of whom lied about their experiences on January 6th. Yes, they both lied about their experiences on January 6th. They lied about their injuries. They lied about everything. And then they got pardons from Biden, pre-planned pardons. Pre-pardon, predetermined. They weren't charged with anything and they still got pardons. All right. And they filed a lawsuit to try and block the anti-weaponization fund, which was part of the settlement between Trump and the IRS. Trump wasn't worried about himself. Trump was only worried about us, the American people. So that's why he set up the weaponization fund, so that anyone who is weaponized, and the weaponization fund isn't just for Trump supporters. I mean, it's not just for, it's like Hunter Biden could qualify for the weaponization fund. So this is they're saying, in the most brazen act of presidential corruption, President Trump has created a $1.776 billion taxpayer-funded slush fund to finance the insurrectionists. Oh my God. Yeah. Those guys had Autopen pardons. Yeah, it was crazy. At least she's not chewing on her toenail. Well, what's up? Hey, Joe, what's up? Good to see you. Kids today. Awesome to see you. Snarf, awesome to see you. Lauren Wimbley, good to see you. Jonathan Marcus. Kids today. Oh, Ginger, awesome to have you here. Snarf, Neuro's here too. Lurch Linger, Michelle, Karen O, Greg's here. MAGA for the win is here too. What's up, man? The Finch is here. Delay is obvious is here. Yeah, Happy Florida Girl's here. See Christine's here. Dawn's here. Snarf's here. I guess that's it. I went through everybody real quick because I like to do that when we start. And I see new people, I say hi as they come in. So they always blame the other side of exactly what they're doing. Yeah, that's what they do. That's exactly what they do. So the fund styled as an anti-weaponization fund is illegal. No, it's not. It's completely legal. It's no different than any of the funds that Obama set up or Biden set up. The fund endangers the lives and safety of the plaintiffs. These guys have zero standing. And I would argue that the lawyer who filed this should be sanctioned by the court. This is beyond frivolous. There's no way they have any standing. This is long proven precedent that taxpayers or other people have no right to sue over what the government spends money on. Zero, none at all. Obama did this numerous times. People, the government won lawsuits, government won stuff against other parties. And then Obama would go, well, he wasn't happy that the government won. People would sue about being discriminated against and they would lose. The people would lose. Obama would, before the 30 days when it was entered, they would go in and settle with the people and set up funds to give them tons of money for stuff that was just the payoffs, just payoffs. This is from, and here we go, just so you can understand. This is from Officer Hodges' body-worn camera. This is how he approached what he calls insurrectionists. So this is what this guy was doing. This guy is out here making these claims, right? These people are just standing around talking and watching.
Make way! Make way! Make way!
And these people weren't doing nothing wrong. hitting people in the back, just going up and hitting them. Like, this guy should be in jail.
Get back.
This is the people, this stuff is what they did to cause it. They were going around doing this, causing people to get upset and then saying, oh, look at the people are so upset and they're freaking out. These people were not doing anything wrong. They're just standing there talking. You notice they're not throwing things. They're not chanting. They're not making a whole bunch of noise. They're not going crazy. They're not throwing fireworks at people like the left does. They're just standing there. And this guy just comes up and starts hitting them in the back. Get out of the way, make way. Like, for what reason? Why would you have to go through there? What is going on? This is what you call incitement.
Back up.
This guy trying to help him up. Now he's gonna.
You're in a bad tactical position. You guys need to get out. You're wrong. Hey, your microphone. Hey, what can we do to help you? Hey, you guys, no, that ain't gonna happen. How can we get you out of here safely? How can we get you out?
So these guys are like, hey man, you guys brought yourself in here. Like, raid. Yes, there's a raid. There's a raid. Moron who still think J6 was organic are intolerable. Oh yeah, it's crazy. I can't stand it. Yeah, just go chimp out. Yeah, chimp out on them. I like chimping out. I do it all the time. I'm a big fan of it. I like to do it on, like, especially on Wednesday nights on a show. I like to really chimp out. Let's see. We got another here. And then here's Dunn and Hodges are represented by Brennan Ballou, the former DOJ prosecutor who claimed that nearly 1.5 years ago that the pardons would greenlight vigilantism and paramilitary activity on the right, and it never happened. This guy's a clown. This guy should be sanctioned. This guy should lose his law license.
Here with me now in studio is Brendan Ballou, former federal prosecutor who prosecuted Capitol rioters. He just resigned from the Justice Department on Thursday, and he wrote about it in a New York Times op-ed. Welcome, Brendan. I don't know whether to congratulate you or say I'm sorry for the circumstances that led you to believe you needed to resign. But when you listen to Enrique Tarrio there, how do you interpret his words? What kind of power do you think he and other militia leaders are taking away from these parties?
You're calling the Proud Boys a militia. Are you serious? They're a drinking club. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Dan? Yes, check this out. I forgot. Buy some meat from King of Biltong at www.biltongusa.com. If you use promo code JIM, you will save 10%. The 8-ounce bags make excellent gifts. And also, I personally like the Peri Peri or the Ghost. It's kind of spicy, but you can check it out. It's good stuff. And also, they have a bunch of other snacks there, too. All right? Like, they sell all types of stuff. It's like sort of changed. I think they call it like Anton's Kitchen now or something like this. But it's still the same website. But they have all types of stuff. They've got sausages. They've got dry drawers. They've got like chips from around the world, snacks, candies, you name it. They've got it all there. You should really check them out. But www.biltongusa.com. Use promo code JIM for 10% off. It's my favorite. Best for gifts. Nobody beats Biltong's meat. That's right. It's 50% protein. You can't go wrong. All American made. The Biltong is. The other stuff, they get stuff from like, yes, Peri Peri is definitely awesome. Will clean out your sinuses. Yes, it's good. It's good stuff. So the Proud Boys are not a militia. That's crazy.
Do they now have the right to hold the government accountable? Is that what they believe?
I think they've taken a very powerful message away from Monday's pardons, which is that to a certain degree, they are above and beyond the law. I think that the effect, and I think the intention of these executive orders was to empower vigilantes.
Oh, vigilantes.
And militias who were
that would be nice.
Loyal to the president, but ultimately unaccountable to the government.
Okay. How can militias operate to benefit a president if indeed that's their takeaway and you think they intend on doing so.
This is something that we see happen in a lot of other countries that are experiencing illiberalism.
Yes.
Illiberal.
Outright autocracies. What you'll have is you'll have
Oh.
militia groups that are
Okay.
loyal to the president, see it as their job to enforce their agenda, but ultimately are willing to use violence that the state might not be willing to. And that can be a whole spectrum of things.
That'd be
It can
nice.
be street level harassment, like
Oh,
you see in
yeah.
Iran,
Oh, so
Iran enforcing.
He's talking about like what you see Antifa doing, where Antifa was attacking all the people that go to Trump rallies and attacking all the people, doing all the stuff that they do. Wow, they do the stuff that the left can't get away with doing with the cops. So they, Obama's DOJ had that happen in 2016, if you remember. Yeah. Mhm.
Dress codes to the very extreme versions like the working groups in Argentina that disappeared
Biedermeier.
thousands of political enemies. So there's a spectrum of possibility here.
You mentioned in the article, the op-ed that you wrote, that the Ku Klux Klan specifically targeted and killed African Americans.
The Ku Klux Klan was a Democrat organization, founded as Democrats, run by Democrats, always Democrats, never been nothing but Democrats. And now the Democrat darling, the SPLC, is funding the Ku Klux Klan, keeping them running, making sure they got the money to keep going. Yeah, recipes, Aaron Danielson near Pioneer Courthouse Square. And it's just an idea, Trantifa, yeah, for having an American flag on his truck. They killed him. Yeah, they killed him. They always accuse you of what they're doing. That's what they do. It's confession by projection. Thank you so much for the $2, Spud. But that's too loud? Well, it sounded loud to me. With that $2, that means we are now just $98 away from adding a first additional hour to the show and just $48 away from Bellavision. Thank you so much, Spuds, for starting us off. MSNBC is our definition of Operation Mockingbird writ large. I don't even know. I mean, another raid? Really? Raid! Thank you so much. Yes, please, if you're here in the raid, please really think about hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps. It really does. New York Times too. Yeah, New York Times is terrible. This is just crazy. Somehow tying this to the KKK, like what?
Americans, and laws were enacted to combat the Klan. Is it your concern that federal prosecutors may now be inclined to, I don't know how to put it other than say, look the other way when laws governing militias and
you're talking about like laws governing militias. What are you talking about? Like the Militia Act that says everyone from age 15 to 45 is a member of the militia. That law? Is that the law you're talking about? What militia laws you're talking about? The KKK was never a militia. It was a terrorist organization. Kind of like Antifa. It's weird how all these Democrat terrorist organizations, they just gloss over and they think it's nothing.
civil rights are broken.
Yeah, we've got a real challenge, which is at least at the very top of law enforcement in the United States when we're talking about the president, perhaps some of the incoming leaders of the FBI and elsewhere. I suspect that there's not going to be a strong interest in going after the folks that were previously arrested on January 6th.
So
Go
let's
after
talk
them
about
for
what's
what?
happening in the DOJ. Several of your former colleagues have been reassigned. That all was going down this week. Many worked on the two federal cases, the criminal cases against Trump. First of all, is this why you resigned from the DOJ, to either avoid reassignment or watching work that you had done just become dismantled and dissolve? I'm curious how many other prosecutors are leaving and the kind of impact that will have on the DOJ.
Yeah. In fact, right before I came here, I was talking to a friend in government who's going through exactly that same calculus, trying to decide what to do. I will say, not just every lawyer at the Department of Justice, every employee at the Department of Justice takes an oath at the beginning of their job to protect the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I think every lawyer has to grapple with how best to do that.
Hey,
For
what's
some
up,
lawyers,
Catherine?
I
Hey,
think
what's
that's
up
going to
going
be
on?
remaining in
He has
government
friends?
and
Not
trying
really.
to make sure that illegal or
boyfriends.
unethical orders don't go into effect. I think for others, the calculus is going to be that they can be most effective by leaving government and trying to speak out.
Can I ask the extent to which you feel there is a presence of political bias in the DOJ?
All right, we're not going to, because this is just so ridiculous. Political bias, yeah, by them. If the FBI and DOJ were investigating the real January 6th seditious conspiracy, Harry Dunn would have already been indicted along with many others. Well, it's the same Dunn who had to be calmed down by Oathkeeper Academy because of mental breakdown. He was dropping his mag from his M4. Yeah, right here. Like, hey, dude, calm down. Here, take your gun, man. You dropped your mag. What are you doing? Yeah, see him? You dropped the thing. The guy's like, hey, man, you dropped your mag. You might want to pick that up. It's crazy. Harry Dunn is a racist wife beater. Never forget. Yeah, look at this. I'm gonna have to stop that because of music. They always do that with the music. Look at this. Yeah, look at him. Oh, he beats his wife. It's crazy. When did you stop beating your wife? Look at this right here. Beating him. Oh, advised. He was cursing, screaming. Something about doing something, washing dishes. So he beats his wife for not washing the dishes. He went into the bedroom and got 2 guns. Oh my God, threatening to kill. He's going to shoot you. I don't have a clip. Give me a clip so I can shoot. Man, this guy's crazy, Harry Dunn. It's nuts. Oh, it's nuts. It's just nuts, man. So right here. What about the billions spent on lawfare against Trump and MAGA? The same folks now pearl clutching over the cost of the anti-weaponization fund expressed no concern over the amount of tax dollars spent to pursue the president and everyone around him. Most J6ers pleaded guilty, were threatened with seditious conspiracy, even though none were charged. Yeah, it was all a thing. You saw the head swipe. Okay. Thank goodness Musquat X. Yeah, if they wouldn't have, man, we'd have been in trouble. Facebook, Twitter, etc. Sophisticated manipulation that average people have no defense for. CIA liar. I'm a CIA liar? Okay. New communism. It is, man. The front flop. This my hair, man. It's really short. I don't know what you're talking about. I usually spike it up. I just laid it down today. There are 2 distinct groups, fake MAGA and real MAGA.
So as expected, we have a total meltdown on the left. Democrats, even some Republicans.
Great reporting on January 6th and other stuff.
Out over this $1.776 billion anti-weaponization fund that acting attorney general.
Oh, now I feel bad. My cat typed this, or Nick Fuentes. Oh, or I thought you were talking to me. I get, on my show, I always think people are talking about me.
General Todd Blanche announced yesterday. Now, I covered this in my piece yesterday, so I won't rehash. I'll just link that piece in case you missed it. However, let's talk about what's going on here. For 4 years, and really, I didn't even include in my post on X last night, dating all the way back to the Robert Mueller probe, which allegedly cost somewhere between $30 to $40 million. All of the lawfare, not just against the president and his family and his lawyers and his White House aides and his associates and cabinet members and staff. And then, of course, people in other states, and then all of the J6ers, 1,600 who were charged by the end of the 4-year prosecution. I didn't even go back that far. But what's fascinating to me to watch the media, and you saw this today.
This Julie Kelly. Julie Kelly.
JD Vance standing in for Caroline Leavitt
Julie
today
Kelly.
was on maternity leave, taking questions from this pack of wolves reporters in the press room and grilling him about this fund, who would have access to it, who would be able to make claims, people who assaulted police officers, can they make a claim that they were wrongfully prosecuted and unfairly charged and sentenced to excessive prison time, which of course we know that that's the case with all J6ers.
It's the case with all of them.
But my big gripe at this point is none of these questions were asked how much all of this cost when it was happening. We know that Jack Smith's special counsel team spent at least $50 million in 16, 17 months. That doesn't include what the DOJ spent before Jack Smith was appointed in November of 2022, because the investigations into the president, into J6ers, into all of his associates, this broad based investigation into January 6th started as soon as really before Joe Biden took office. This doesn't even include the documents case against the president as well. No one was asking questions how much the DOJ and FBI were spending going after the president, going after especially J6ers. Let's talk about J6ers. All 56 FBI field offices, their number one priority was to investigate J6 defendants in that jurisdiction, interrogate people, including neighbors, including coworkers who snitched on the J6er, including family members, deep dives into all of their accounts, special social media accounts, looking at their Amazon purchases, getting their cell phone data. I mean, how much did that cost? Not to mention then the prosecutions of these J6ers, at least 1,300 either pleaded guilty or were convicted at trial. They had to staff up with assistant U.S. attorneys, some of whom volunteered but left their posts at various U.S. attorneys' offices across the country to go to Washington, D.C. to be part of this enormous, unprecedented caseload, as Merrick Garland has referred to the J6 prosecution investigation. So how much did we pay for all of those prosecutors? How much did the trials cost? You had at least 130 trials in Washington, D.C., starting in March of 2022. How much did those trials cost? Jury selection, added staff for all of these judges who were overwhelmed, happily, of course, with J6 cases. How much did that process cost? What did it cost to incarcerate all of these J6ers, including the overwhelming majority who went to federal prison on low-level misdemeanors or non-violent felonies? How much did we spend to incarcerate more than 300 J6ers who were unlawfully prosecuted and convicted?
Yeah, what about that?
1512 that was overturned by the Supreme Court. How much did we pay the U.S. Marshals to transport all these J6ers across the country and then to prison? How much did we pay probation services to keep an eye on these people, to make reports for these court proceedings?
Crazy.
To keep an eye on them when they were on probation or supervised.
Yep, that's right.
release.
Brian
I had a couple other J6
died of natural causes, a brain
aneurysm. How much did it cost the TSA?
Never hit with anything.
If you don't know this, you should.
There's video of them.
The TSA was putting terrorism.
It's a lie.
I think it was 4 S's.
They just lie.
That designated that traveler as a suspected terrorist, and they had to go through all sorts of extra screening, extra TSA agents following these individuals through the airport to the gate on the other side of wherever their destination was. This was for non-violent offenders. I mean, Brandon
which
Stark
ones were
talked
fake
about
arrested,
repeatedly,
for optics.
what he had to go through.
Like
he was charged with misdemeanors.
apps.
So I would love if Congress or the DOJ Inspector General or someone could get their arms around on exactly how much the lawfare, the weaponization of course, the DOJ cost.
How much are we paying for illegals? Equal or more?
Argue,
yeah, how much?
Or I would predict
or William
that it is close to that amount, 1.766 billion, if not more. That doesn't even include the congressional investigations. Of course, we had the Select J6 committee, but there were other investigations going on into the events of January 6th and J6ers, and of course, the president's alleged role in inciting that 4-hour protest on a Wednesday afternoon. So I would love to try to get a figure on this. Now, back to this fund. And Vice President J.D. Vance said today, anyone can apply for this. Even Hunter Biden could apply for this. Now, that would be interesting. However, we need to do better in explaining exactly how abusive and vengeful and disproportionate, I believe that was the word the Vice President used today, the J6 prosecution was in particular. So you had charges that had never been brought before against political prisoners in the nation's capital. You had this unlawful felony 1512C2 brought against more than 300 J6ers that was eventually overturned by the Supreme Court. However, at least 100 already not only spent time in prison after a conviction or a plea, they were held in pretrial detention. That's what Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman, was charged with, indicted with, 3 days after January 6th. And he was held in pretrial detention.
Yeah, and the guy, the lectern guy, the guy that he stole Nancy Pelosi's lectern. He picked up the lectern, walked a couple feet with it, took a picture, and then set it down. That's all he did. He didn't steal anything. He didn't steal nothing.
On 1512C2, those people aren't entitled to some sort of restitution. The families who were destroyed, who were bankrupted, marriages that ended in divorce, families broken up permanently, businesses bankrupted. I mean, the list goes on. Nothing like this has ever happened in U.S. history. And the kicker here is that the Biden Department of Justice had a 100% conviction rate before DC juries. Any J6er who went to trial, who chose to go to trial in Washington, D.C., the most democratic city in the country, not a single J6er walked out of a courtroom completely exonerated. Yes, a few were acquitted on a few charges, but they were convicted of others. Not a single one was fully exonerated by DC jury. The jury selection process was a joke. The judges knew how biased these jurors were. They begged them to say that they could be impartial. I sat through some of them. I saw this myself. So we can go, of course, I will keep covering this. I will keep posting about, how egregiously unfair and biased and vengeful this prosecution against J6ers and, of course, the president as well is. But I just wanted to quickly cover, I know it's almost 10 minutes, quickly cover all the potential costs that were involved at tax.
Yes. Yeah, all those potential costs. All those potential costs. All right. So let's talk about it. Restitution for J6ers. The president dropped his justified lawsuit against the IRS and, and his administrative claims against the DOJ to seek financial relief for the American citizens that were victims of government abuse. Epps' judge was Boasberg, and he wasn't biased at all. Yeah, totally. So the J6ers are on the verge of finally receiving some measure of compensation for enduring years of torment by the Biden Department of Justice. Here's an agreement with the Internal Revenue Service just laid the groundwork to establish a restitution fund to make J6ers and others at least partially whole for the life-destroying abuses inflicted by the federal government. Yes, please hit that like button. Please, it really helps. Even if you don't like it, do something. On Monday, the president's attorneys filed a motion to voluntarily dismiss his lawsuit against the IRS for the unlawful disclosure of Trump's tax documents to the New York Times in 2019, which resulted in a bombshell article just weeks before the 2020 election. That's really weird how it happened, like right before the election. Our birthright and vision of liberty by our founders has been under attack since inception. Yes, it has. Oh, look at this. We got a 20. Matthew Perna, Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan. Yes, remember those names. Thank you so much, Christine. With that means right now, folks, we are just $78 away from activating a first additional hour to the show and just $28 away from Bellavision. Thank you so much, Christine. On Monday, so they filed this, and the IRS contractor, Charles Littlejohn, was indicted on a minor charge for stealing and sharing thousands of IRS files. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So this guy got 5 years in prison for stealing thousands of people's documents and turning them in. But someone like Tina Peters, who was just trying to make sure that they had the evidence that something was afoot. She wasn't stealing anything. She wasn't using anything for nefarious reasons. She just wanted to have the evidence before it was destroyed. She wanted to preserve evidence. And they gave her 9 years. See the difference? Earlier this year, the president, in addition to Eric Trump and the Trump Organization, sued the IRS for $10 billion in damages related to the disclosures. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Mr. Littlejohn's unlawful disclosure of the plaintiff's returns and related information caused reputational financial harm to the plaintiffs and adversely impacted President Trump's support among voters in 2020. Trump's support among voters in 2020 presidential election, attorneys wrote, they cited prosecutors in Littlejohn's case who accused the worker of seeking to influence an election and reshape our nation's political discourse and political process. Shortly after filing the dismissal notice, since the president, in effect, represents both the plaintiff and a defendant, no action is needed by the judge, according to a footnote. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the creation of the Anti-Weaponization Fund in the amount of $1,766 million in honor of the country's founding, 1776. The machinery of government should never be weaponized against any American, and it's this department's intention to make right the wrongs that were previously done while ensuring that this never happens again. According to ABC News, a 5-member commission will handle claims filed by the weaponization victims. 4 members will be appointed by Blanche. Money will be held in the government's existing judgment fund. The 4-year targeting of Americans who protested at the Capitol on January 6 by Joe Biden and the DOJ represented the largest criminal investigation and prosecution, I would say persecution, in American history. Hey, what's up, Node? Says, have a good stream driving to Knoxville. Voted yesterday in Georgia. Glad most of the right people won. Well, most of them did, it seems. The DOJ's unprecedented use of post-Enron accounting fraud statute resulted in felony indictments for more than 300 J6ers. The Supreme Court ruled that statute has been applied illegally. Matthew Graves, the Biden-appointed U.S. attorney for the D.C., charged on average 1 J6er per day during his reign of terror at the most powerful U.S. attorney's office. He persecuted not only piled on charges against Trump supporters, but then sought excessive prison sentences. In fact, their abuses were so brazen that the D.C. appellate court twice overturned sentencing practices pursued by the prosecutors related to misdemeanor cases and sentencing enhancements for those convicted of the unlawful 1512C2 charge. Judges in Washington worked in lockstep with the Biden DOJ to inflict maximum damage to J6ers and their family. Several nonviolent offenders were nevertheless denied release and held in special prisons in the nation's capital. Many judges adopted the false language of the Biden DOJ, returning to the events of J6 as an insurrection and imposing terror enhancements usually reserved for legitimate terrorists, not U.S. political prisoners. Several judges claimed police officers had been killed, insisted protesters attempt to overthrow democracy. Hundreds of J6ers were sent to federal prison, even on low-level misdemeanors. At least 4 J6ers committed suicide rather than continue to endure the torture inflicted by the government and the news media. Never before has the full force of 3 branches of government, the January 6th Select Committee, played a key role in demonizing J6ers and influencing the jury pool in Washington. They collaborated in such an unconstitutional, unlawful, and inhumane way to destroy the lives of so many Americans just for exercising their First Amendment rights. The president took this step in an attempt to undo the damage done. The president took the step of a pardon to undo the damage done, but a handful of J6ers, all but a handful of J6ers on his first day of office. Having lived through political persecution, punishment, public vilification, and efforts to silence dissent, I understand firsthand what happens when the weight of the government, the media, and political hostility converge against ordinary Americans. Christopher Kuhn, a retired Marine Corps captain and Purple Heart recipient, told me following the announcement of the fund. Kuhn was subject to an armed FBI raid in February 2021 for his minor participation in January 6th. The trauma of the raid caused his pregnant wife to miscarry the next day. Is Bella the dog you hear? Yes, Bella's here. She's like, I don't know. She hears the kids are outside still up. So she wants to go play with them, but she's not. She's staying right there. She's going to stay right there. The extended stints in solitary are what got you. Well, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous that they did that. Yeah. Piece of shit demon rat, so sick of their BS. Yes, I am too. Everyone is. My cat has been admonished enough, and it's not mine. No. Was anyone ever charged with insurrection? Most Americans still believe this would happen. I don't even know if anybody knew the word insurrection. There was a seditious conspiracy charges, which that was all baloney, that they charged just like Enrique Tarrio, some of the Proud Boys, and some of the Oath Keepers with. Well, Kelly J., thanks for being here, though. The families were torn apart, reputations were destroyed, livelihoods were threatened, and the proposed $1.776 billion weaponization fund represents, at a minimum, a start in the right direction. This is not about revenge. It's about restoring trust, accountability, and principles that a separate constitutional republic from systems driven by fear, selective enforcement, and political retaliation. Sharon Caldwell, the wife of Thomas Caldwell, another decorated military veteran subjected to dangerous FBI raid, then indicted on nonviolent offenses, told me they are grateful for the president creating the fund. It could be a creative way to compensate weaponization victims for what they suffered, but it's nowhere near enough money to fairly compensate just the J6ers alone for their losses. So many lost everything: savings, homes, businesses, marriage, lives, and more. It's a good start, but more is needed. Yeah, people need to go to jail. That's what the people that did it needs to go to jail. Bella wants to play. She does. One of the men falsely accused of trying to kill Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick told me that clearing his name in the incident is the most important thing to him. I was framed by the FBI from start to finish, George Tanios, who was held in the D.C. Gulag for 5 months related to the attack on Sicknick before the appellate court overturned Judge Thomas Hogan's detention order. He told me that he eventually pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct. The Biden administration and the judges that oversaw our cases threw every norm out the window and came at J6ers with a heavy hand and broke just about all of us and killed some. It's time to remedy the great injustice that was done to so many Americans. God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. So here's the raid on his house. Look at this.
I got to go. Move it. I'll tell you when you bring it in.
Yep.
You just had surgery, nobody in our house.
Where did you have surgery?
You had surgery on the left wrist.
Left. Okay. It's okay, buddy. It's okay, buddy. It's okay, buddy.
He had surgery because he had a cyst. He just went to the VA on Friday.
Okay.
He had surgery. You guys should be really careful. He's not.
Yeah, that's seditious conspiracy charged by Matthew Perna committed suicide. I tell you, it's crazy. It's crazy. This is what they did, though. This is what they did. So this is these police officers. Look at these police officers. Police officers who guarded U.S. Capitol sue to block Trump's $2.3 billion slush fund. You know what? These guys can go pound sand. These guys should be locked up, but they can't because Biden pardoned them all. So let's see if they make and do any lies now. Call them before Congress. Let them see if they tell some more lies. You know, ask them what exactly happened. And when they start lying again about what happened, you go, wait, we have the video now that proves you're lying. Charge them because they, can't. They're not pardoned from committing crimes today, lying to Congress. That's what needs to happen. Trump's move towards compensation of the J6ers is some proof of his sincerity. Yeah. Tonight's shirt isn't as awesome as last night's shirt. Well, I can't wear awesome shirts every night. Jesus, Bella. Seriously, you're gonna make me take you. You're upsetting me, Bella. So, two police officers who lied about everything on Capitol Hill and tried to frame a bunch of people were part of a conspiracy to go after patriots, file a lawsuit seeking to commit lawfare and interfere with Trump's $1.8 billion fund to compensate victims of political weaponization. In a complaint filed in federal court, former police officer Harry Dunn and Metropolitan Police Department officer Daniel Hodges alleged that Trump's taxpayer-funded fund to compensate people is it's a fund to finance insurrectionists and paramilitary groups. The lawsuit seeks a court order blocking payments, calling it this is just ridiculous. They have no standing. They have zero standing. You wonder who put these people up to the file? Oh, it's the Demon Rats. It's the Demon Rats. They think it's going to go, but they have no standing to sue. Biden's pardon for so many reasons are illegitimate. Yeah. Trump settled on May 18th with the IRS and agreed to drop his lawsuit over the leaked returns. As part of the settlement, the Justice Department created the fund. Acting U.S. attorney faced repeated questions over the fund during congressional testimony, in which he basically just said, it's for whoever was treated bad by the government. It's really crazy that the government wants to think that doesn't happen. Just Demon Rats. Blanche said the money can be given to members of any political party. It's not limited to just the J6 defendants. The standard for who will get the money, he said, is defined broadly by those who experience weaponization. Dunn, a black 15-year veteran of the police force that protects U.S. lawmakers, so really, do they? I don't know, has been vocal about his physical and racist abuse he endured, which were all lies, including before a bipartisan House panel that investigated the riot. Yeah, that panel you're talking about, the J6 committee, where he had to get pardoned because he lied to them. Why did he need a pardon? During Mr. Hodges was pinned in a revolving door. He remains at Washington police force and has testified before Congress about his experiences. We're not going to. Tear gas, violence, and insurrection. That's what they're claiming, right? What their story is claiming.
Mayhem in the U.S. Capitol on.
I mean, look at these people. They're just standing around. They're not doing anything. And then the cops start tear gassing them.
Wednesday, as swarms of protesters supporting outgoing president.
It's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. We're going to check what CBS has to say about it, and then we're going to move on to the next story. Is it a Democrat judge because laws and rules don't matter to them? I'm sure it's going to be a Demon Rat judge because they filed it in the District of Columbia, but it'll immediately go up the chain, and they have zero standing to sue. Zero standing. You can't. It has nothing to do with you. Weren't there some Metro PD that were caught on tape saying we were set up? Yeah, there definitely was.
And the Trump family. The IRS is permanently barred from pursuing any claims against the president, his family, or his businesses based on past tax returns. It's an addendum to the president's settlement with that agency. But now we have some breaking news about the nearly $2 billion so-called compensation fund that's part of the settlement. Let's bring in CBS News.
Oh,
Justice
your
reporter.
so-called compensation fund. Well, what the fuck else is it? See how these scumbag medias, they can't report anything factually. So-called compensation fund. Well, what the fuck is it if it ain't a compensation fund?
Jake Rosen. Jake, what can you tell us?
Good morning. We've seen the first legal challenge in federal court against this $1.7+ billion weaponization fund created as part of that settlement that you just mentioned. It is brought by two law enforcement officers who clashed with the angry mob of Trump supporters on Capitol Hill on January 6, 2021. Harry Dunn, a retired former U.S. Capitol Police officer, as well as Daniel Hodges, who's an active Metropolitan Police Department officer here in the district, have...
Why didn't you say that Harry Dunn was a failed Democrat candidate for Congress, that he couldn't even win in a Democrat primary? He was beat. Why don't you say that? Oh, there we go. Christine says Bella wants to be seen and heard. Well, thank you. Thank you. She will be seen and heard now for show. For show. Look at her doing tricks there for you. She's doing special tricks for you, rolling around. Thank you so much, Christine. With that means we are now just $68 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you so much for all you do, for all your support. Thank you.
Sued in D.C. federal court, claiming that this fund and its creation are illegal and would only pay out people like the January 6th convicts, I should say, who were later pardoned by President Trump. And they're seeking to block the creation of this fund.
Convicts. You see what he said? He just called them convicts. They were pardoned. They're not convicts anymore. So I think maybe CBS, this guy should face a lawsuit because he just called them all convicts. They're not. They're pardoned. They're exact same position as Harry Dunn and all the other people, and Adam Schiff and Ratskin. Yeah. And Liz Cheney, all those people that got pardons from Biden. They're in the same thing. You can't call them convicts because none of them are convicted. Have a nice day.
Reverse any transfer that has been made so far from the Department of Treasury to the DOJ to start implementing this fund, as well as put any kind of future funds aside and out of play, blocking this from taking action. As we've pointed out, there are no members officially appointed yet by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, or in coordination with Congress that one of the 5 members will be. However, we have seen overnight the initial first rush of funds and Trump allies who are seeking that access to that $1.7 billion. It's unclear how much legal standing this case is going to have, because legal experts and federal ethics experts that we've talked to have said it's going to be very difficult to prove in federal court that you are being irreparably damaged. However, two police officers here in the district, I should say, who were injured by those rioters on January 6th and who have faced the consequences over the last 5+ years of that, believe that they have the first case. We'll see the result.
Yeah, no, they have no fucking standing. They have no standing. They don't. They might actually just open themselves up to something, because they should be countersued. There should be what should happen is somebody should bring a case and file a counterclaim and join the suit and sue them, countersue them for the damages they caused, for their lies and everything. Jim is chosen. Thank you. Like Nancy learned from her dad, Big Tommy, corrupt politician, Baltimore, 47-59. Liz learned from her dad, Cheney, the tricks of the trade, be a corrupt politician.
Almost certainly be more, but this is the first initial batch of that, and we'll see what happens in federal court in the next coming days and whether they can convince a judge that this case should move forward.
Yeah, it's a reminder of the trauma so many Capitol Police officers experienced.
Fuck you and their trauma. They don't get any trauma. They're a bunch of scums. So 2 officers in the riot suit to block the anti-weaponization fund. So they're just, who's paying the lawyer? That's the thing. I would like to know who's paying the lawyer. Is Soros paying him? Is this coming straight from the Democratic National Committee? Yeah. Neither Blanchard or White House has outright said they would oppose payments from the fund to those convicted and since pardoned. Of course not. Why would you do that? Were you in Council of Future Conflict this morning? I couldn't see you. I was just I was watching the show. I was chatting with them. Thank you so much for that. I had to leave though because well, something happened. Thank you so much for the 10. That means we're $58 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you all so much for everything. Yes. Was that judge named Chutkin? She should be in prison with Adam Schiff, Pelosi, Ratskin, etc. I agree. I agree. Yes. I was watching the show, but I wasn't invited on the show today. Blanche said at the hearing this week that the 500 Commission will make up the fund's board would supply the information. By creating the anti-weaponization fund, funding it, and authorizing claim criteria, it will make payments to, among other peoples, Proud Boys, J6 rioters, defendants to inflict concrete and cognizant harm on plaintiffs and done. Oh, man, screw these people. They're nuts. Fund's mere existence sends a clear, chilling message. It's none of your fucking business. That's the message. You know, I want to sue these cops now. If they have standing to sue over this, I have standing to sue them over all the damage and the trauma it caused me from having to listen to their lies. The settlement permanently bars the IRS from pursuing claims against Trump or his family companies. Yes, it does. So. All right. We got this EO. Trump moves to squeeze illegal aliens. I already subscribed. You guys I can't stand these people. So, how much does it cost to have YouTube front page suggested or unique connections? I have no idea. I don't know. I heard rumors that it costs like a lot of money. I've never been suggested by YouTube ever for anything. So Trump moves to squeeze illegal aliens out of the U.S. financial system with a new executive order targeting banking loopholes. I wouldn't really call it banking loopholes. I would just say it's banks that haven't been enforcing the law the way it's supposed to be. You know, that's what I would say. That's what I would say it is. That's what I would say it is. Wait, what is this? Where did that come from? All right. There we go. No. President Trump has taken another major step in his immigration enforcement agenda. Lawfully standing in our republic is based in harm. It's a cutthroat business. Yeah. In his new executive order issued Tuesday, the Trump administration directed the Treasury Department to increase scrutiny of financial activity tied to illegal aliens, including potential payroll tax evasion, concealing account ownership, off-the-books wage schemes, labor trafficking, and the use of individual taxpayer identification numbers without verified legal presence documentation. Yes, ITINs. Yes, Nuremberg, anyone. If we don't know our history, we're bound to repeat it. Poor puppers. Bella isn't ready for bed. Maybe not. We'll see. Banks will now be pressured to strengthen customer identification requirements and think twice before handing out accounts, loans, credit cards, or any financial services to those here illegally. I mean, you guys realize how many mortgages were given to illegal aliens under the Biden administration? I've seen reports that upwards of 10 million mortgages were given out to illegal aliens during the Biden's 4 years. Like almost, 2.5 million per year. Wow. In plain English, no more easy banking for illegal aliens. No more wiring billions in remittances back to foreign countries while American families struggle. Yes, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That's right. Biden administration had those people directed them to do it. Stop. Yes, tons of free money to the illegals. That's how they work. No more using our financial system to launder cartel money or fund the very invasion destroying our communities. Trump has officially moved toward debanking illegal aliens. Officially. Officially. It's right here. See, restoring integrity in America's financial systems. So he says, by authority vested in him as the president of the United States, he issued this. America's financial institutions serve a critical role in safeguarding the American people against financial fraud and abuse. My administration has taken significant steps to lower the cost of providing financial services for Americans and reduce unnecessary burdensome federal regulations. Some of these regulations actually restrain economic growth and hamper competitiveness of the financial service providers nationwide. However, it's long been the policy in the United States to adopt tailored measures to safeguard our financial system from illicit use and promote safe and sound lending and other practices. My administration will not tolerate national security and public safety risks caused by illicit cross-border financial activity, nor will it permit risks to our financial system posed by extension of credit or financial services to inadmissible or removable alien population. I'm guessing we'll be seeing a lot of defaults on mortgages. It's possible. It's possible. Rick, how you been doing, bud? Anyone else get thrown off and move to a different show on YouTube? You got thrown off and moved to a different show on YouTube? Wow. At HUD, Cuomo set up the system back in the 90s to be able to give people loans so they couldn't pay their mortgages. Biden simply put that program on steroids. Wow. I hope that doesn't happen to people. That's a no good. That's a no good. Fannie and Freddie were basically a mortgage entity created by the government to buy up mortgages, then government housing. I used to review mortgages for Wells Fargo. What's up, Kofi? How you doing over there on the Kick? Tell everybody over there I said hi. So banks and other financial institutions should also be attentive to the credit risks posed by the extension of mortgages and auto loans and credit cards and other consumer credit to inadmissible or removable aliens. Yes, you could give Jim a super tip if you want. You could. Ways to do it. There's ways to do it. Anyway. So the term federal function financial regulator means the board of governors of the Federal Reserve System. So yeah, so I don't know. There's some stuff going on with the Federal Reserve. They did appoint a new chairman, but Powell is trying to play games, saying that he's still the chairman pro temp or something like that. Like, it's crazy. Totally crazy. So within 60 days of the date of the order, the Treasury Secretary shall issue a formal advisory to all institutions regarding the risks associated with the exploitation of the United States financial system. Yes, rest in peace, Barney Frank. Yes, Barney Frank passed away today at 84 or 86 or something like that. I have it in the stack if we get there. You don't know what happened. You don't have earbuds and it wasn't near your phone. It's just weird. YouTube is weird like that. So the advisory shall describe specific red flags and typologies associated with the following categories of suspicious activity: evidentiary patterns of payroll tax evasion by employers or labor brokers, including the systemic failure to withhold or remit federal employment taxes for non-work authorized individuals; utilization of certain foreign identity documents, nominee accounts, shell companies, complex funnel structures designed to obfuscate the identity of the ultimate beneficiaries or conceal the true nature of payroll disbursements. What is bankophobia called? I don't know. The strategic use of unregistered money services business, third-party payment processors, peer-to-peer platforms to facilitate off-the-books wage payments intended to bypass Bank Secrecy Act thresholds or tax obligations. Patterns of repetitive sub-threshold cash withdrawals or deposits that correlate with bank payroll cycles, conducting outside the regulated payroll processing systems known as structuring or microstructuring. Financial activity indicative of labor trafficking or forced labor where proceeds are commingled with legitimate business revenue and transferred to foreign jurisdictions. Bella's getting real mouthy tonight. I don't know what her deal is. Use of an individual taxpayer identification number, an ITIN, to obtain credit products or open depository accounts where the applicant lacks verified lawful immigration status. Although ITIN facilitates tax compliance, its use in lieu of a social security number or valid work authorized visa may be identified as a risk factor requiring enhanced due diligence to ensure the account is not being utilized to facilitate the unlawful employment of illegal aliens. Side note about the upper left cam window. I love bull terriers, all the mixes of biggest dogs who are the best. Well, thank you. Bella doesn't like banks. Bella hates bankers. The only people she'll bite is the bankers. Does Bella fit in my lap? She'll try to sit in my lap, but she takes up like most of it. She's pretty big. She's a big girl. Yeah, in LA 20 years ago, there was a check cashing business on every corner. They still have check cashing places, but now I think they don't need it because now everything can be digitally transferred now with Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, all the stuff. What else is out there? A whole bunch of stuff. There's so many ways to transfer money now. So, Secretary shall appropriate financial regulators to propose applicable changes and implement regulations of the Bank Secrecy Act. So all these dates, 180 days. Within 60 days, the CFPB shall consider clarifying the potential deportation and lost wages are factors that could adversely affect non-work authorized borrowers' ability to repay. So they're not even, they're basically like saying like you can't, they put rules out saying you can't look at if they're here illegally, you can't look at if they could be deported, and that being a negative credit factor, because if they get deported, how are they going to pay their bills? How are they going to pay it back? The power blinked the other night when you woke up, all your Alexa controlled lights were on. That's weird. It's possible. So this is a good thing. I think this is a really good thing. I think this is a really, really good thing. Just the News just has it as Trump signs executive order to stop banks from extending credit to illegal aliens. I mean, that's plain and simple. Plain and simple. No more credit for illegal aliens. Plain and simple. The order titled Restoring Integrity to America's Financial System also calls for an end to the transfer of low-dollar cross-border funds because that's been used to facilitate or commit terrorist financing. Yes. Who gets the home? The bank will get the home, probably. Yes, I love Trump, too. He's great. So this is great. This is great news. Stop all the money. So a recent analysis of Chinese money laundering networks have identified how foreign passport holders have used U.S.-based accounts to facilitate the laundering over $312 billion. $312 billion for criminal organizations. The order also states banks and other financial institutions should be attentive to the credit risks. Yes, definitely. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Oh, what's this? Here. So we'll do this real quick. It's going to be something from Trump here. There's some kind of picnic going on.
And President Trump's cabinet all here on the South Lawn for this annual tradition. We just heard from President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. And the president was touting the stock market and his overall economy, as he did mention.
Well, that's weird. Why is it doing that?
And said that it's going to come to an end fairly.
What is going on? Why is it? Why is it?
Quickly, and then he says that the prices for Americans for gas will come down.
I think we're going to be finished with that very quickly, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, and hopefully we're going to get it done in a very nice manner.
Well, I don't know. This is all screwed up.
You're going to see oil prices plummet. They're going to come down. There's so much oil out there. They're going to come plummeting down.
He also is talking here tonight as the results in primaries across the country are beginning to come in. That's in 6 states across the country. And it comes as the president is getting ready to.
Oh, that's music playing. This is how we do it. When I was a mortgage broker, the file going through the processing underwriting was extremely tedious and meticulous. That was back in 2008 when Obama bailed out the banks. Would we even have debt without the fraud? I would think we wouldn't. I would think we wouldn't have any debt. If we got rid of all the fraud, I think that would cover all the debt. because that's what the debt's been. It's been the fraud and then borrowing to cover the fraud and borrowing to cover the fraud. La 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 la. All right. All right. On to the next story here. Look at this. We got the Cuban ex-president Raul Castro was indicted on charges including murder, conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals. So this is what happened. All right. For you guys that don't know, back in '96, all right, there was this group called Brothers to the Rescue. I think it was something like that. It was a group of brothers. They would fly Cessnas and Bella, go lay down now. Get in bed now. Go get in bed. Knock it off. Lay down. Lay down. Lay in bed. Let's go. Jesus. Yeah, so there was these brothers, and they would rescue people that wanted to flee Cuba so they wouldn't die at sea or whatever. So they would fly over. If they saw them, they would land and grab them. All right. And they had small planes. I believe they were like float planes so they can land on the water. The Cuban government sent Bella gets treats. The Cuban government sent a fighter jet up and they shot the plane down. The planes were over international waters. They were not over Cuban waters. They were over Cuban airspace. They were over in international airspace, and they shot them down. And the Clintons the Clintons were too busy kidnapping Elian Gonzalez. You don't know who Elian Gonzalez is? It's, one of the hits of Janet Reno went and kicked in a door with machine guns, just like they did to J6 people, to steal a Cuban boy and send him back to Cuba. Because there was a mother who came to the United States with her son, Elian Gonzalez, for a better life. The mother ended up passing away after they were here for a few years. And the Clinton Justice Department, Janet Reno, when she wasn't busy, killing kids at Waco or shooting a mother and a 12-year-old boy at Ruby Ridge, she's kicking down doors to kidnap Elian Gonzalez to send him back to Cuba. But they didn't have time to charge these crimes when they're murdering American citizens. 2 American citizens and 2 planes were shot down. That is weird. Why did it do that? What? Okay, that's just dumb. Former President Raul Castro has been indicted in connection with his alleged role, and the reason he's being indicted for his role is because he was the head of the military. He's the one who gave the order. You think Bella may be letting the fame get to her head? Yeah. She died on the crossing. Did she die on the crossing? I thought she died here. Anyway, yeah, the brothers, was it Brothers to the Rescue? That's what it was called. Yeah, Brothers to the Rescue. Downing 2 planes operated by Miami-based Brothers to the Rescue. Indictment, which a Florida grand jury returned in April, was unsealed Wednesday. Acting U.S. Attorney Todd Blanche said in a statement in Miami that Castro charged Castro with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, destruction of an aircraft, and 4 separate counts of murder. The indictment stems from February 1996 incident in which 4 Americans, Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandre, Junior Mario de la Peña, and Pablo Morales, were flying in civilian aircraft when Cuban military aircraft shot their planes down in international waters. They were unarmed civilians were flying humanitarian missions. Trying to find, I thought I had it somewhere. I thought I had it somewhere. I thought I had it somewhere. Todd Blanche. Oh, here's some of it right here.
And quick follow-up. What are the prospects that you could get Raul Castro to the United States to face justice, given the situation there, and what steps are the U.S. willing to take to get him back here?
Well, we indict men outside of this country all the time, and there's all kinds of different ways that we get them here. The reason why we indict somebody is because we want them here to face justice in front of a jury of their peers. So
yeah, get him here. Right, get him here.
how we go about doing that obviously depends on the circumstances in the case, and I'm not going to go beyond that, but we expect, we didn't indict, this isn't a show indictment. This is an indictment because we expect that there was a warrant issued for his arrest. So we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way.
Another way, as in somebody go get some. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
An indictment charging Raul Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals.
There's no statute of limitations on murder. And the fact that this was never done before. There was actually a case brought, there was a state case brought on this in the 90s by Florida. And the Clinton DOJ stepped in and then just basically said, no, we're going to take care of it. And it didn't do anything. That's why. That's why. That's why. Okay, but let's indict our local villains first. This is something that's been a long time coming. And this is basically, I think this is what's going to happen is I think the Cubans are going to turn them over to us anyway. This is going to be part of a deal. They're going to give them to us, and it's going to be part of a deal. And then Cuba's going to become free, and Jim's going to be able to get a bunch of Cuban cigars. He has gotten a lot done, hasn't he? He has gotten a lot done. I mean, I've seen all types of reports, actually. I've seen some reports that the whole, like, that all the bad stuff that happened, all the crappy decisions was all Pam Bondi. You know, I don't know how true that is. Here we go. A little bit more.
There's a reason why myself and the senator and other leadership are here and not in Washington, D.C. to announce this indictment. The community here, you all, understands the history of the Cuban regime better than anyone in America. Many families here know the cost of oppression. I've heard stories over the past week and past months, every one of them heartbreaking. They know that the pain caused by the regime did not stop at the island's shores. And today's indictment, while it does not bring back the murdered victims, it makes a statement. The United States government has not forgotten these innocent men who were shot out of the sky. And as in every criminal case, the defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty by a jury of their peers. But today, the Department of Justice has taken an important step and brought this indictment.
This is why Ratcliffe was in Cuba. This and probably also the Ybor City would like a word. Yeah, well, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to play it up as best as possible. But you know, here's the thing: is you know, they're going to try to get as much people as they can. So the indictment says that Castro and 5 defendants participated in a conspiracy that ended with the Cuban military firing missiles at planes and killing 4 Americans. Nations and their leaders cannot be permitted to target Americans, kill them, and not face accountability. Joining Blanche in announcing indictment were U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, Jason Redding Quinones, Deputy FBI Director Chris Rea and Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer. So here it is. So it says Department of Justice posting court docs courtesy as a courtesy to the public. So here's the case number 18 USC 232, 18 USC 32, 34, 40, 49 USC 46, 12, 18 USC 111, 111, A1, 328, 323, and 2. There he is. There's Mr. Castro. So they use these planes, brothers, Hermanos al Rescate, Brothers to the Rescue, better known as BTTR, was an organization in Miami that flew unarmed Cessnas to rescue or guide Cuban migrants stranded or lost at sea. So they flew unarmed in and around Cuba. The Cuban military, headed by Castro, sent MiG fighter jets to shoot them down. So the indictment comes as rising tensions in the Caribbean. There could be no future for a free Cuba as long as the Castros and their criminal gang of thugs remain in power. Entire J6 committee's harm to innocent Americans is much more fresh. Well, they're getting on that. I mean, they're doing what they can. Several Florida lawmakers praised the indictment, calling it long-awaited step towards justice nearly 3 decades after the shootdown. Representative Carlos Gimenez and Maria Elvira Salazar and Mario Diaz-Balart, Nicole Malatowski sent a February 13th letter urging action in the case. We're very, very happy that this happened. He accused former Cuban President Castro of personally ordering the attack, saying Castro actually boasted that he was the one who gave the order to shoot down the planes during a 96 incident over international waters. Representative Byron Donalds described the Brothers to Rescue pilots as humanitarians helping Cubans fleeing the communist regime. Bella, you're going to have to knock it off, Bella. Seriously. People were swimming across the Florida Strait, and the brothers were going out there on their own to help people get to our shores to escape tyranny. Salazar also contrasted the case with the Trump administration's posture towards Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, warning the Castro family to look at Maduro. There's a new sheriff in town, and that sheriff's Donald Trump. Cuba is the mothership of all evil in the Western Hemisphere. Shoring up the Cuban Florida vote. I don't know that it really needed to be shored up any more than it is. I mean, it's pretty strong. Rick Scott called the indictment a good day for America. Scott also said the U.S. should not take anything off the table. Oh, let's see what this guy's got to say. What, this won't play? Why is nothing playing today? Why is nothing playing? What is going on?
I chose laser vision correction.
Oh, because you had to get your commercial in. That's why.
Correspondent Dana Marie McNichol is reporting live out of Little Havana right now. And as Miami's Cuban-American community reacts, she's got a guest joining her right now. Dana Marie?
Hi, that's right, Sandra and John. I'm here on Calle Ocho in Little Havana in front of Versailles, a very popular historic restaurant where, as the news spread, people are reacting. And I do want to bring in Oscar Fernandez here with me. Nice. He left Cuba in 1961 when you were just 15 years old.
That is correct.
Tell me about what today means in the news of the indictment of Raul Castro.
It means some justice for the Cuban people. For 67 years, I'm sorry, we have been ignored. by everybody, the United Nations, the Organization of American States, the European Union, everybody. So we hope this is the beginning of the downfall of the Castro regime. Sorry, little emotional. And we're ready to go back and help in the reconstruction of our country. With work, with money, with investment, and with love.
With love. Definitely with
It
love.
has been lacking in Cuba for the last 6 decades.
Oscar, thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I know you're getting emotional because this is a huge day for the Cuban community.
It is.
You and yourself, multi-generations. What are you hoping happens next?
Well, this should be the beginning of the downfall. This should be the beginning of a liberation of Cuba with the help of the United States. See, I can no longer fight, but the U.S. is being a second home to us, truth be told. I got kids and grandkids born here in Florida and in New York. And we're ready to do our part. This administration is the only administration sorry, that is trying to open the door for us. And we are not going to let this opportunity go by.
Oscar, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful moment with us.
Wipe all this.
He wants us to get his tears out, but that is the emotion that you're feeling. So during that announcement of that indictment, Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche, she said this is the first time in 70 years that a senior official from that communist Cuban regime is being held accountable for violence against Americans. So as this story progresses, we will be here, Sandra and John, speaking to Cuban Americans about the reaction of that announcement.
God bless Oscar. Oscar Fernandez, Cuban exile.
I mean, why wouldn't anybody want to go back if it's free and it's a free country and you can vote and do all this stuff? So, yeah. Oh, here, this is going to be actual announcement here. Oh, great. So, U.S. indicts Cuba's Castro on murder and conspiracy charges.
Today, we are announcing an indictment charging Raul Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals.
I don't think, here's the thing, Captain. I don't think our tax dollars would go to rebuild Cuba at all. There's enough money for people that left Cuba that would go back there and rebuild it on their own. There's plenty of businesses that would go there because it's like prime real estate, Cuba, for like vacations. I mean, look where it's at. But prior to, look at what Cuba was prior to Castro taking over. It was like the destination spot, man. It was casinos and resorts and everything. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was like, it was swankier. Those joints in Cuba were swankier and better than any of the rub joints they had in Vegas.
Mr. Castro and the others are charged with additional crimes as well, including destruction of aircraft and 4 individual counts of murder. The indictment was returned by a grand jury sitting in this district in Miami on April 23rd. 2026, and was unsealed today. For nearly 30 years, the families of 4 murdered Americans have waited for justice. On February, this is a story all too familiar. On February 24th, 1996.
Oh, look, it's the Pope with the
2
communists.
civilian aircraft operated by Brothers to the Rescue were shot down.
Wow, look at that. Obama shaking the hand of a guy who murdered 4 Americans. What do you know? Wow. I guess maybe Obama's laughing with him. Hey, you killed 4. I only killed 3 that we know of. Yes, Obama killed 3 American citizens. Anwar al-Awlaki, his son, and a daughter. 3 American citizens Obama killed. This guy killed 4. They're laughing about it, shaking hands. What do you know?
International waters by military aircraft from Cuba. 4 men were killed. Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandro Jr., Mario de la Peña, and Pablo Morales. They were unarmed civilians and were flying humanitarian missions for the rescue and protection of people fleeing oppression across the Florida Straits. As alleged in the indictment, Raul Castro and 5 co-defendants participated in a conspiracy that ended with Cuban military aircraft firing missiles at those civilian planes and killing 4 Americans. Those are the allegations returned by a federal grand jury. My message today is clear. The United States and President Trump does not and will not forget its citizens. I want to say that we also do not forget the families, the loved ones, and the friends who have carried grief and heartache for 30 years. For the first time in nearly 70 years, senior leadership of the Cuban regime has been charged in this country, in the United States of America, for acts of violence resulting in the deaths of American citizens. Nations and their leaders cannot be permitted to target Americans, kill them, and not face accountability. President Trump is committed to restoring a very simple but important principle. If you kill Americans, we will pursue you, no matter who you are, no matter what title you hold.
Fauci got a pardon. He's got to be
case,
arrested.
no matter how.
Fauci's got to be arrested by a state. A state has to arrest Fauci. Some state prosecutor, a DA, attorney general of a state, because Biden pardons Fauci, so the feds kind of are limited in what they can do with him.
How much time has passed? I want to thank, and everybody in this room should thank, the FBI, the prosecutors, and the agents who worked on this matter. Okay. It includes the intelligence.
Oh, so this is good news. Very good news. All right. We got some more good. This is some more interesting news. He says, how is it possible in Wisconsin to have 7+ million registered voters, but only 4 million legal age adults allowed to even legally register to vote? It's almost double the amount of people registered than the legal age voters. Florida might be the place to start for Fauci. Yeah, I wish I'm going to put a call into Altmaier and have a word with them and see what he says.
We, our group of citizens, inherently don't trust our election systems to begin with, because this is the WEC website called Badge of Voters, and you can see that the total count of registrants on here is 7.1 million registrants. And it gets to the problem that we only have 4 million adults in the state of Wisconsin. So we're approaching, and the 7.13 million number on the voter rolls, that grows almost daily. It never ends. It rarely goes down. It dropped slightly when they sent out the 4-year postcards, and then it shot right back up, and it's the highest that I've ever seen it. Okay, and it's even it's even worse than this because there's the 4 million adults in Wisconsin. Not all of them register, not all of them vote. We're really down around about 3.6 million, 3.7 million.
Wow, what do you got? They got almost double the amount of people. Funny how the Autopen investigation dried up. The problem with the Autopen investigation, Bud, that was DC, so it got thrown out of DC court. That's what happened. They shut it down. DC, black robe, tyrannical lower court, inferior judges in DC shut it down. That's what happened. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Thank you for sending that to me. It's worse now. 8.3 million registrants as of today. And yes, the inactives can be flipped to active very easily, then have a ballot cast for them. I've seen it happen numerous times, and the bad actors can change names, addresses, jurisdiction, and move it all around. They want, see this, they try to charge him. He wants to get, if you want to get a list of all the names, it's charged $12,500. I believe it. There's a reason they fight so hard to keep the illegal types of voters and the others on the rolls. You nailed it. I'm glad you called it out when you did. It's extremely important. I wonder if this gross overinflation serves as a phantom vote bank, not only for Wisconsin, but other states. Possibly Wisconsin's rolled in Eric. They probably are. Exactly. Many are used to cook the books for fake ballots in multiple ways. Remarkable that they need to add 75% more voters to win elections. Yes, it's crazy, right? It is crazy. We got this right here. Trump family and business shielded from pending tax audits as part of the settlement with the IRS. President Trump and members of his family and his businesses will be shielded from pending tax audits as part of the provision of the settlement. Yeah, like, well, the Comey case, that thing, man, that was all fucking thrown out because a judge basically said somehow that the prosecutor was illegally appointed, but the only person that can appoint people is the fucking president. So this whole thing is like, I don't understand why that case hasn't gone up higher, why they didn't do anything about it. Gundam says, I left Oregon 10 years ago. Last I checked, I was still registered but inactive. Bet I've had ballots sent. Probably. So acting Attorney General Blanche signed a provision on Tuesday through the 1.7 weaponization fund, which would face criticism. The provision states the IRS would be forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing ongoing tax claims against the first family and its businesses. The settlement will allow victims of lawfare, including first son Hunter Biden, to receive cash payouts. The provision only covers existing audits, not future. So yeah, so if it's not covered, it could cover a future audit, not an existing ones. What does it say? TSA quietly letting passengers bring weed on the planes. That's weird. As is customary in settlements, both sides have executed waivers of various claims that could have taken or brought. There would be little point of settling several significant claims if either party could simply turn around and seek to initiate more adverse claims than they've been pursued previously. As part of the settlement, Trump and his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, will not receive monetary compensation, but will receive a formal apology from the government. Yeah, we're sorry. Why does this remind me of that South Park episode? We're sorry. We're sorry. The Trumps will withdraw claims related to the FBI's probe of Russian collusion, which was a hoax. In addition to the illegal search warrant that they executed at Mar-a-Lago, Trump and his sons sued the IRS for $10 billion for illegally leaking tax returns. The lawsuit came almost 3 years after the IRS contractor pleaded guilty to sharing the returns, as well as filings of other wealthy individuals with the New York Times and ProPublica. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche acknowledged Tuesday that the agreement was unusual but not unprecedented. 5 commissioners appointed by Blanche will determine how to dole out the taxpayer funds. Several also noted Hunter Biden, former president's son, would also be eligible. It's unclear if the president would have any say over appointing commissioners to oversee the fund. Is that the episode where they rub their nipples? I don't know. I think so. That's the one where it's like where Cthulhu, where it's like the Exxon Valdez spill in the Gulf, and they just goes, "We're sorry, we're sorry." No, the one where they rub their nipples is a cable company one, if I'm not mistaken. IRS had dropped tax claims against Trump as part of the settlement. Trump's IRS settlement bars tax audits of Trump and family. So this is actually like they didn't announce this immediately with the other thing. So this is kind of a big deal actually. If I'm not mistaken, they were facing some serious audits, like hundreds of millions.
At Florida Virtual School, there is no classroom required to explore career and technical education that builds job-ready.
Hey man, why did that start playing?
Well, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche appeared before a Senate panel today for the first time since President Trump fired former Attorney General Pam Bondi. The administration announcing a $1.7 billion fund to pay victims of government weaponization. But who gets the money and where it comes from is a bit unclear. Here's the chief congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram.
A DOJ document posted today declared that the president, his sons, and the Trump Organization are, quote, forever barred and precluded from being examined or prosecuted over the president's leaked tax returns. It's a deal the president cut with his own Justice Department.
Is a dollar of this money going to Donald Trump personally? No. Is a dollar of this money going to Donald Trump's family? No.
Senators appeared unaware of the new conditions at today's hearing with Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, but they were already skeptical about the settlement.
I realize it's a lot of money. I want to understand that, where the money comes from. Do we find it in the budget? Do we have to borrow it? There's just a lot of unanswered questions.
What I want to know is how the fund was created and what its purpose is, and the legality of creating a fund that Congress hasn't had anything to say about.
Oh, what about the fund that Congress has to pay off all the sexual harassment claims that nobody knows about? What about that slush fund? There's actually a law that covers this that was passed and signed into law by bipartisan Republicans in Congress, and it actually sets up the structure. And believe it or not, the cap of the fund that the president is allowed to set up, through the DOJ is allowed to set up, is actually $10 billion. So they could set up a $10 billion fund. Yeah. So it's nowhere near the cap that the law states that they can set it up with. So you'd think
Democrats
they would know
didn't
this.
like Blanche's involvement. He's the president's former personal attorney, now playing a part in the settlement.
You have very little faith to the Constitution and the people of America, and you're the president's consigliere.
Lawmakers want to know who qualifies for payouts.
Will individuals who assaulted Capitol Hill police officers be eligible for this fund?
Well, as it makes plain, anybody is
just let me know if they're eligible for the fund.
As was made plain yesterday, anybody in this country is eligible to apply if they believe they are victim of weaponization.
Now, the government captured the phone data of GOP Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty. It was part of Operation Arctic Frost. Hagerty says the compensation fund is important because of abuses under the previous DOJ. Trace?
That's right.
Chad Program live for us on Capitol Hill. Chad, thank you.
That's right. No. So, yeah. So the settlement agreement directed the Attorney General issue order establishing the fund. Trump administration did not immediately release information for comments. I thought I had it here. Let me look if I can find it. I swore I had it. I swore I had it. I swore I had it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, I didn't save it. Damn it. Sorry about that. What is going on here? Why is this? Oh, Where'd it go? Where did it go? Damn it. All right. Let's do this. A man jailed over Charlie Kirk post wins $835,000. Now, this is something you might go, what? So Tennessee officials will pay $835,000 to settle a lawsuit filed by a man who was jailed for more than a month over a Facebook post he made about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Tennessee officials will pay $835,000 to a man who was jailed for more than a month over a Facebook post. What's it say? Hope you're well. What do you at those that Israel removed Massey call it? This is like, what do you add to those that Israel removed Massey? Could it just be he relied too much on online persona and not real life? The people of Kentucky removed Massey. That's who removed him. I mean, only 4% of his money came from the state of Kentucky, not even his district, but the entire state of Kentucky. 96% of his money came from out of the state. His biggest donors were a family of Palestinians in Texas. The Maruk family. Knock it off, man. While many people across the U.S. lost jobs over social media comments about Kirk's death, Larry Bouchard's case stood out as a rare instance in which such online speech led to criminal prosecution. The 61-year-old retired police officer spent 37 days behind bars. During his time in jail, he lost his post-retirement job and missed his wedding anniversary and the birth of his granddaughter. This is crazy. This is crazy. He filed a lawsuit against the Perry County, its sheriff and investigator who obtained the arrest warrant. I'm pleased my First Amendment rights have been vindicated. The people's freedom to participate in civil discourse is crucial to a healthy democracy. I mean, I don't think it was too civil. I don't think it was against the law. I don't think he broke the law. I don't think it was a threat that he made or anything like that. But he was arrested in September after he refused to take down a Facebook meme that joked about Kirk's killing, which had prompted an outpouring of grief, including in Perry County, which is near Bouchard's home, which led to a candlelight vigil. Don't pike her ballot. No, I'm not going to shock her. I'm just telling her she's got to be quiet. What's this? Do you have any recommendation for those who do drywall repair? I think Barnes House might need some repairs. Bella just wants to sing like you do. The justice system is allowed to F us over through the blue slip practice of appointments of judges. The Senate is jamming us with sand lube. No KY for you. That's right. That's right. Hey, what's up, Kelly? Thank you. The meme Bouchard posted prompted his arrest read, "This seems relevant today," and featured President Trump in the words, "We have to get over it." The quote, the meme explained, was said by Trump in 2024 after a school shooting in Iowa's Perry High School. I don't believe. Don't do that. Do not the Hassan. That's right. I'm not going to do that. Throw the ball. I don't think that. So trying to say this, Trump never said that. Oh, we got to get over it. That's not what was said. So the Perry County Sheriff told news outlets that Bouchard's hate memes were lawful free speech, but residents were alarmed by the school shooting post, fearing Bouchard was threatening a local school, also called Perry County High School, even though Weems said he knew the meme referred to a school in Iowa. Investigators believe Bouchard was fully aware of the fear his post would cause and intentionally sought to create hysteria in the community. Bouchard's bail was set at $2 million before he was released as the case drew national attention. This is crazy. $2 million. That's nuts. Somebody made a mistake here. In his times of turmoil and heightened tensions, our national commitment to free speech is tested the most. So the attorney for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, that's called FIRE, and they actually do a lot of work to help people that have been persecuted. The work that the ACLU says they do, they don't. The ACLU only helps people that they agree with politically. FIRE actually protects everybody's civil rights. Saying Douglas Mackey or something like that arrested for sharing a meme about Clinton. Yeah, he got arrested Biden administration was one of the first things the Biden administration did was go after him. Like Douglas Mackey should be entitled to get money from this weaponization fund. You know? Our hope is that Larry's settlement sends a message to law enforcement across the country: respect the First Amendment or be prepared to pay the price. Tennessee County agrees to $835,000 settlement. So, controversy began. A lawsuit. The image included a photograph of Trump. Yeah. So, jail for 37 days for posting a meme. Oh. Douglas Mackey was arrested for a lot more. Well, this is what the yeah. So I mean, he shouldn't have been in jail, but he should have got shamed and laughed at and ridiculed. So, man jailed for 37 days gets $835,000. I mean, that's a lot of money for 37 days, to tell you the truth. I mean, what did we see just yesterday? We talked about the story of the guy who spent 21 years in jail and he only got $5 million or something like that. I respected the ACLU 20 years ago. I would say 40 years ago. Even 20 years ago, they sucked. Think about it. They sucked. They started sucking really in the late 90s. Oh, man, my apartment complex is celebrating Juneteenth holiday and close the offices and pool. Got to get out of there. They're celebrating it today. Today's not June. It's just May. It's Mainteenth. Oh, man. Bella. Bella, girl. What's wrong? Come here. It's okay. What's wrong? You have to go outside? You have to go outside? All right. All right. On to the next story here. Early warning goal was to install hardline former President Ahmadinejad as Iran's leader. That's what we got a Bella sing along. So that's what these reports are saying, that they wanted to install this clown who Ahmadinejad was part of one of the college kids. No, you just got the notice for it today. Oh, God, that's terrible. That's terrible. That is terrible. Wow. Terrible. Dr. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad had accused senior Iranian officials of corruption and was a known critic of the government in Tehran. Ahmad's dinner jacket. Yeah. I heard this guy got placed under house arrest after they were going after him. He's a former president. Days after the strikes killed Iran's Supreme Burrito, other top officials in the opening salvos of the war, President Trump mused publicly that it would be best if someone from within took Iran over. It turns out the United States and Israel went into the conflict with a particular and very surprising someone in mind, Dr. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the former Iranian president known for his hardline anti-Israel and anti-American views. Wow. Since when are you going to charge me straight times? You suck. So they planned a former leader. The former president was injured in a strike on his home, meant to free him from house arrest, and has not been seen publicly since. The United States went into the war with Iran with a plan to install former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the politician known for calling to wipe Israel off the map. The Israeli developed plan envisioned a multi-stage collapse of the Iranian government, beginning with the opening U.S.-Israeli aerial campaign that killed Khamenei and other top officials. Ahmadinejad had been consulted about the plan. What? They're basically now trying to get Ahmadinejad killed by saying this. The U.S. identified at least 10 mines in the Strait of Hormuz. According to reports, the Israeli strike on the home in Tehran in the opening days had been designed to free him from house arrest. The former president was injured but survived the strike and was described by an associate as having effectively been the target of a jailbreak operation intended to eliminate IRGC personnel guarding him. After the near miss, the report said Ahmadinejad became disillusioned with the regime change plan. So they were working with him?
It's so difficult to make sense of who is in charge in Iran, with the foreign minister Abbas Araghchi visiting Pakistan, Oman, and Russia in recent days. Is the IRGC calling the shots? The new supreme leader, who of course has not been seen since his selection, is it the parliament speaker? What can you tell us? Who is making the decisions out of the Islamic Republic? Your sense?
Answering this question is difficult because even in Iran, no one really knows the answer. Mojtaba Khamenei has succeeded his father, but he's heavily dependent on IRGC. In my view, the real power lies with Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf, Ahmad Wahidi, and Mohammad Baqir Zolghadr. See, but they are effectively managing Mojtaba Khamenei. However, neither Mojtaba nor none of any of these people, anybody, I believe, that are capable of signing an agreement with United States. The moment such a thing happens, there is a risk they could lose their lives. In Islamic history, after Prophet Muhammad, we saw that out of 4 caliphs, 3 were killed. And this is what I expect. If anybody wants to sign an agreement with USA.
Oh. Yeah, why would they want to sign an agreement? Ahmadinejad had clashed with the regime's leader in recent years and been placed under close watch by authorities. He was known during his tenure as a president from 2005 to 2013 for calls to wipe Israel off the map. Maybe was this guy always? Is that what they're implying, that he was always like a happy May 20th International Draw Muhammad Day? Oh, it's all IRGC is just stalling and believes they can outweigh us. That's what I think. Now I'm wondering, is this guy one of the spies they had? And are they basically turning him over? Basically, like, yeah, he had strong support for Iran's nuclear program and violent suppression of internal dissent during the 2009 Green Movement. Some U.S. officials briefed on a plan reportedly skeptical that putting Ahmadinejad back in power was viable. Yeah, it don't make no sense to me. Ahmadinejad was recruited. How he was recruited to take part in the effort remains unclear. He had reportedly traveled to Hungary and Guatemala in the period before the war. And that reports noted that we were viewed as a signaling closer ties with Israel. Look, was this guy a spy the whole time? Report linked the plan to comments made by President Trump in the opening days of the war when he publicly mused it would be best if someone within took over Iran.
He's considered just garden variety Islamic Republic official, as you just were broadcasting, corrupt, part of the repressive apparatus. It's very much bad news if a Venezuela type scenario is in the works for the Trump administration. However, I would like to offer a possibility, and that is that Trump is in fact not serious about working with anyone from the regime and is actually using the Venezuela scenario as leverage to press and prod the regime to loosen it, so that there is a sense of paranoia and panic among all of the insiders. So they are thinking to themselves, each one, well, it's not me who's speaking to Trump, or it's not me who's, going through one of these intermediary countries to try and appeal to the United States government, but it looks like it's somebody else. And so this sense of, distrust and suspicion of other people who are sitting with them, or maybe even not even sitting with them, because there's no real safe spot for them. So they may be scattered. Their communications may be very haphazard and unreliable. But two, they may be thinking to themselves that if there is such a plan in motion, then maybe I better get on board. So it may be that there are multiple actors within the system now reaching out to the Trump administration, thinking that somebody else has done it and they don't want to miss the boat. So it may be a good a head fake operation from the Trump administration to, again, really rattle the regime at its foundations, get a lot of movement inside going, and create an environment of distrust and paranoia, and that by itself make the regime significantly less cohesive, less coherent, and so a real transition may be more possible.
Wow, interesting, very interesting. So they're looking at this. This is just basically a report. Gulf News says U.S.-Israeli go before the bombing. How Trump and Netanyahu's Ahmadinejad gamble failed. Like, I don't know. Is that true? Is that true? You know, The Hill says the same thing. You know, but they were planning on that. Next story, it says that World News, Pentagon cuts a NATO brigade presence in Europe. We went from 4 brigades in Europe down to 3. So supposedly, that's all it's going to be. The Pentagon on Tuesday announced a reduction in the number of brigade combat teams stationed in Europe, lowering the total number from 4 to 3, effectively returning U.S. troop levels on the continent to their 2021 posture. And a post on X, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that the move is a comprehensive, multi-layered process focused on U.S. force posture in Europe. The Department of War will reduce the total number of BCTs assigned to Europe from 4 to 3 to return us to levels 2021. The statement added decision as a result of a temporary delay of deployment of forces to Poland, while emphasizing that Poland remains a model U.S. ally. The affected formation is the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, which has been scheduled for routine 9-month NATO rotational deployment to Poland and other eastern flank positions. Fox News further reported that approximately 10,000 American troops are typically stationed in Poland, the majority on a rotational deployment lasting several months. Because the U.S. military footprint in Poland relies heavily on these rotations, the delayed deployment has reportedly generated concerns among Polish officials. The statement further added that the future decisions regarding U.S. troop deployments in Europe would depend on further analysis of U.S. strategic operational requirements, as well as our allies' own ability to contribute forces towards Europe's defense. It's said that the review is intended to advance U.S. President Trump's America First agenda in Europe and other theaters. It's also to encourage NATO allies to take primary responsibility for Europe's conventional defenses. The Pentagon also confirmed that the Secretary of War held talks with the Polish Prime Minister and the Defense Minister, Władysław Kozyniak-Kamiński, regarding the issue. The department will remain in close contact with our Polish counterparts as the analysis proceeds, including to ensure that the United States remains a strong military presence in Poland. They also added that Poland has shown both the ability and resolve to defend itself, and other NATO allies should follow suit. We'll ask, I guess, what we will get answers is what they asked. And despite concerns over delayed deployment, Polish officials have continued to emphasize that their country is a model ally within NATO and express confidence that the military cooperation with the United States will continue to expand.
We will talk with officials from Pentagon. We will talk with officials from Pentagon and with congressmen. And the main topic will be NATO 3.0, the concept created by Pentagon, which is developing here in Europe, and where Poland is a very good example as a model ally. We will discuss the concrete ways of cooperation between Poland and the US bilaterally, but also within NATO. And we will discuss just very concrete elements of examples of cooperation between our armed forces. We will also raise quite important issue of blocking rotation of armored brigade to Poland. We will ask questions, and I guess that we will get answers, because we remember that President Trump directly talking with President Nawrocki, President of Poland, declared that the US will maintain its armed forces in our country and the number of the armed forces. So there are questions to discuss, but the most important thing is to discuss how can we strengthen our military capabilities together. How can we cooperate in realization of this NATO 3.0 model, and how our defense industries can cooperate. So that is the other aspect of our talks. Poland and the Eastern NATO flank states are a certain kind of the hybrid war. So it is not kinetic war, but we are constantly under attack by Russian cyber forces. There are a lot of acts of sabotage in Poland. There was incursion to Polish airspace by Russian drones. So there is huge disinformation coming from Moscow, and this hybrid war is focused on undermining the societies, the citizens' confidence to the authorities, is focused on dividing the societies, is focused on, as a matter of fact, also splitting the countries within NATO. So just to divide NATO, to divide the EU, to make countries just alone vis-à-vis Russia. That is very special kind of the war.
I don't know if it's completely useless, Ozelian. I think it might have something to do with what Ratcliffe was doing. Ratcliffe went to Cuba, showed him some stuff, talked to him. I think the Cubans want, they're tired. They want to get peace with us. They want to be part of society. They want to have prosper and get back to the way it used to be in Cuba. And this is like the last guy standing, Raul Castro. If they can, they'll probably. I think they're going to just hand him over to us and be like, okay, can we be friends now? Can we have trade and go back and forth and have actual elections and do stuff the right way? And then Jim can buy Cuban cahibas at the local store here. That would be great for Jim. Jim would like that. Jim would tell you that he would like some Cuban cigars. So he's selfish. He wants them to fix this Cuban stuff so he can get cigars. That's all.
Nowadays, with less intensity that it was last year, for example.
Rally time. We'll see. We're getting close.
To all these examples, I could add also very high migration pressure caused by Russian secret services.
Poland's always going to be worried about Russia, though. Poland's always going to be worried about Russia.
Fortunately, this activity, due to efficiency of our border guard, substantially decreased. But as a matter of fact, all these acts of hybrid war are very dangerous, and from the example of Ukraine from 2014, we understand and we know that hybrid war on the certain level of intensity could be as dangerous as kinetic war.
You said before
Okay.
that you think that
So the polls are a little,
Russia sees the U.S. as its biggest.
they're a little worried. So yeah. So the Pentagon announced Tuesday it's reducing the number of combat teams. The War Department did not specify the number of troops affected. A BCT typically consists of between 4,400 and 4,700 soldiers. President Trump is considering pulling troops out of Germany, Spain, and Italy. Good, pull them out. Bring them home. So the department will determine the final disposition of U.S. forces in Europe. The analysis is designed to advance President Trump's America First agenda. Poland calls on the U.S. to place nukes within its borders amid the Russian threat. Ooh, I don't know if that's a good idea. That's pretty, that is pretty ballsy. I don't think we need to put nukes there. So the Department of War has reduced the number of brigade combat teams assigned to Europe. 10,000 troops are typically stationed in Poland. Polish government plans mandatory military training for adult men. So they're going to ask questions and they think they're going to get answers. The European leaders on the edge of a prospect looms of Trump pulling 20,000 troops from the continent. And that would be, that's what I would do. Let's look at this real quick. Poland calls on U.S. to place nukes within its border.
Let's bring in Hudson Institute senior fellow and foreign policy expert Rebecca Heinrichs. Rebecca, good morning to you.
Polish President Andrzej Duda has once again called on the U.S. to place nuclear weapons within its borders as a show of deterrence to Russia. Poland, you ain't got nothing to worry about Russia. You'd be more worried, honestly, Poland. You'd be more worried about. Oh, sorry, Jonathan. I didn't see that till just now. We got $5 from Cash App. No, that was the wrong thing. Got $5 from Cash App from Jonathan. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for the 5 on Cash App. Cash App. Thank you so much on the Cash App for $5. That means we are now $53 away, so we're almost halfway there. It looks like tonight's going to be an early night. Thank you for the $5, though. I greatly appreciate it. Yes, for a rally time. Thank you so much. If any classic cars are harmed, the approval rating will plummet. Yes. That would be a problem. That would be a problem. Yes, Cash App and PayPal and Cash App and PayPal, all accepted. So Russia did not even hesitate when they were relocating their nuclear weapons to Belarus, Duda told the Financial Times. They didn't ask anyone's permission. The White House did not immediately respond to Fox News' questions about where President Trump stands when it comes to this form of deterrence. Well, we don't need to put him there. The Trump administration this week took steps to try and bring an end to the war in Ukraine, which has been raging for more than 3 years. While Ukraine has agreed to an initial U.S. 30-day ceasefire, contingent on Russia's acceptance, Moscow has not. Duda's advisors on international affairs, Wojciech Kolarski, echoed Polish president's plea and in Thursday interview argued that NATO members who share a border with Russia's Kaliningrad region, as well as Ukraine and Belarus, the steps were important for Warsaw security. What is that they're digging there? Aerial view shows a site where a missile strike killed 2 men in eastern Polish village near the border. Yeah, wasn't that missile an actual Ukrainian missile? Didn't they find that out? But the U.S. should the U.S. again refuse Poland's request, there's another nuclear-armed nation in the NATO alliance that may be willing to assist in nuclear sharing. Oh, if you think the French or the British are going to share their nukes, you're crazy. Emmanuel Macron opened discussions on the strategy, and it could help extend its nuclear deterrence to other EU nations. I'm pretty sure. I thought France only had a couple nuclear subs. I didn't think they had like land-based missiles or something like that. But whatever, man. Despite Moscow's objections, French defense concept is far from new, as the U.S. deterrence umbrella during the Cold War was intended to ensure NATO allies would be protected under America's nuclear power in case of a direct threat by another nuclear-armed nation like Russia, China, or North Korea. While France is the EU's only nuclear power, It has the third largest stockpile when it comes to nuclear armed nations in NATO, which includes the U.S. and UK. So basically, there's only 3 nations in NATO that have nuclear weapons: the U.S., UK, and France. Germany doesn't have any nuclear weapons at all. But why, France being the third largest is like the smallest in NATO. The EU can make them do anything, apparently. Apparently. This just says Poland welcomes statements that the troop reduction is only temporary. Then this says Europe admits it still can't defend itself alone. Well, I thought they don't need us. That's what they said. They said we don't need America. We can do everything on our own. European leaders are attempting to downplay concerns after the United States announced plans to reduce military presence. Hey, what's up, Neil? How you doing, Mr. Neil? The Pentagon announced it was pausing deployments of troops to Poland. Kaja Kallas, the EU's top diplomat, said that the European Parliament that the NATO deterrence remains intact. Yet, in the same speech, she described the U.S. presence in Europe as a major contributor to NATO's deterrence and defense, and Europe still lacks a number of capabilities, like being able to fight a war, and were often too costly or complex for a single member state to procure alone. Everyone wants nukes now. What happened to concerns for the environment? Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? They all want them now. Ain't no stopping them now. They're on a roll. Oh, look at Bella's got her toy out there in the middle of the ground out there playing with it. Europe already lost the war by allowing all those Muslims in. War ended without a shot fired. I concur. At the same time, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has described Russian threats against the Baltics as a threat against our entire union. Yes, it's a threat against our entire union. What union? Soviet Union. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk also warned that this may lead to situations in which it's necessary to react firmly. Yeah, react firmly. Watch what happens. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander, General Alexis Gurnovic, on Tuesday downplayed the news of U.S. troop withdrawals, suggesting that it's an ongoing process that could take several years, but this could change if Trump, who's a long highlighted the need for Europe to defend itself, so wishes. That's what I say. Defend yourself. You better defend yourself. Ooh. And it says Trump's drawdown in Germany is a warning shot. So it says we have 90,000 personnel in Europe, and 10% of that just got pulled out of Germany. While the world's attention focused on Middle East wars and Ukraine, a major geopolitical development in Europe has gone largely unnoticed. President Trump's decision to pull 5,000 troops out of Germany after it refused to support U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran. That's not it. It just refused to let us use our bases that we pay for. That's the problem. Now, the move represents less than 10% of the roughly 80,000 to 90,000 troops. It is a gesture largely symbolic, or will the withdrawal harm NATO and weaken Europe's security? One could only hope if it would harm NATO. One can only hope. Is there more to come if Europe's continue to be jerk-offs? Yes. And what's the longer-term strategy? Not just in Europe, but in Asia too. Well, we're gonna go to Asia and have a party in Asia. Pressure to reduce the U.S. military footprint in Europe isn't entirely new. During my 4 years as the Supreme Allied Commander, I often dealt with such concerns. This was the height of the forever wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we need more combat power in those countries. It was before Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine and during the days of the Obama administration's pivot to Asia. Yeah, well, let's be clear. The Russia, all this stuff happened because of the coup in 2013 in Ukraine, the Maidan coup. It was. And all this stuff has transpired because of it, because some idiots in the Obama administration decided, like, hey, let's get these people out in Ukraine, and then we're going to get the Ukrainians. We're going to convince them to kick the Russians out of their only warm water port in Sevastopol that they've had for over 200 years. We're just going to tell them that they can't be there no more. And that's what they tried to do, and that's why they took I can't think of the name of it. The little area where Sevastopol was. I can't think of the name of it anyway. Crimea River. What makes this moment different is the tone and rhetoric. President Trump is clearly frustrated with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who said the U.S. was being humiliated by Iran. No, we're not being humiliated by Iran. Who the fuck said that? That guy should get smacked around. You know what? Pull every fucking troop out of Germany. Fuck them. Yes. So the U.S. would continue to draw down trend and keep reducing numbers of warships in Spain and home port of the U.S. Navy's 6 guided missile cruisers. Rota is the most frequent destination in the Navy by sailors, indicating their duty preferences, by the way. Yeah, everybody wants to go to Rota, Spain. It's a good time. But you know what? Fuck them. Yeah, Crimea actually voted to stay Russian. Yes, they did. Because they've always been Russian. They've always been Russian. It was been part of Russia. It was part of the Russia, the like the empire of Russia, whatever you want to talk it, like prior to World War I, prior to any stuff, it's been Russian since like the late 1700s. So that's what we need to do. Germany, all of it got to go. All right. Let's do this real quick. Check this out. What the hell? Been to Rota a number of times. Always a fun time. It's a great time. You tell him, Jim. Maybe you should be our ambassador. I'd be a great ambassador. Kolomoisky just had to finance the Nazis in Ukraine. Couldn't leave well enough alone. A treaty concluding World War II allowed Russia to continue to hunt them. Yeah. Russia isn't our real enemy. It's the caliphate from the Middle East. Yep, sure is. That's right. I bring it up all the time. Vladimir Putin, after 9/11, came to George W. Bush and said, it's time to put our differences aside. We want to be allies. We will join you. We'll join NATO. We will hunt these terrorists down. We will help you go after them wherever they are around the world. Let us join you. And the Germans said, we don't want the Russians in NATO. You can't let the Russians in NATO. And Bush was too much of a pussy to tell the Germans to go pound sand and let the Russians join NATO because they wanted to. Yes, they tried to join NATO. Ukraine has been the killing fields from the Germans to Ottomans, all fighting Russia. Yeah, it's always been. So an Atlanta judge let a man walk out of jail early for beating a woman's face so badly she shattered her orbital bone on a public train. 2 months after his release, he stabs a woman to death on a walking path. He goes on to assault a postal worker with a rock before he's caught by police. In January, Jamer Brown got on top of a woman and beat a female attorney as he stepped off a MARTA train going to work in Atlanta. He broke her nose and shattered her orbital bone. She needed 25 stitches. MARTA police charged it as a misdemeanor. The incident didn't even mention the broken bones. Brown was sentenced to 120 days, but he was released early and only served 60. He was out in March. Two months later, he beat a postal worker with a rock and stabbed Alyssa Page to death at noon on the Atlanta Beltline. If Brown had served the full 120 days the court gave him, he would have still been in jail the day he killed her. Stop letting repeat violent offenders out of prison. Yes, stop doing it. Stop doing it.
It's on top of me. And he just starts punching my face over and over and over.
The woman, who's an attorney, was headed to work. This police body cam video shows the moments after the attack when Jamari Brown was arrested as the victim was in an ambulance.
My orbital bone was broken in multiple places and my nose was broken as well. When I got my incident report and I saw that it was a misdemeanor and I knew that was wrong, you know, if you break a bone in Georgia, it's a felony.
Yet Brown was charged with a misdemeanor after the incident report didn't mention the broken bones. Brown took a negotiated plea deal that the victim says she was never notified about to serve 12 months probation. And that is what Brown was serving when last week investigators say he attacked a postal worker and then Alyssa Page on the Beltline, stabbing her to death.
The right information in the hands of the right people undoubtedly would have changed something.
Channel 2 asked Marta about the report in the January attack. Marta said in part officers responded to the incident and followed established procedures in reporting it. But this victim believes that Brown was charged with a felony in her case lives could have been saved.
I would say that there's accountability to be had.
Oh.
Well, in addition, the victim of the attack here says that her phone number was listed incorrectly in the incident report. We reached out to the Solicitor General's office about what she had to say. We have not heard back, but she says she's also living now with survivor's guilt.
She's living with survivor's guilt. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. We all know what happened. Freeing violent criminals sounds bad until you look at the full list of wonderful things that Democrats do. They kill the unborn. They sterilize children. They appoint illegals. They free violent criminals. They create dependency on the government. They do it all. They do it all. Check this out. FBI Director Kash Patel announces the DOJ has charged former managing U.S. Attorney Carmen Lineberger, who supported Jack Smith, not a real boy, with targeting President Trump. They charge him with theft of records. Wow. According to the indictment, Lineberger concealed her actions by saving electronic copies of the records in question under misleading file names like chocolate cake recipes, bundt cake recipes, before electronically transmitting the records to her personal email accounts. Wow. It's crazy. Say cheese. Yeah. Here it is. Jack Smith's prosecutor been charged with multiple felonies for stealing classified confidential investigation documents. It's nuts, man. Just nuts. This is going on.
He's a bad guy. He's a sick man. There's something wrong with him, actually. I think Jack Smith is a sick man. There's something really wrong with him. I'd rather see him testify publicly because there's no way he can answer the questions. But Biden knew this was going on. Kamala knew it was going on. And there's a lot of things happening right now that they don't like. One of the things is the Autopen. Everything he signed, almost, with the exception.
Yeah, this is crazy, crazy. Oh yeah. Let's see the courageous Democrats vets defend this one. Can't wait to hear it. Listen, this is the communist P. Hustle. You know what's his name? Graham Plattner mocking a soldier who was shot 4 times in Afghanistan. This video never showed dumb MF or didn't deserve to live. This is what he says. This is what this guy, this veteran guy that they're saying. He's a veteran. He's a Marine. He does this. He's talking shit about other soldiers. It's crazy. Crazy. Well, everybody, we've gone over 2 hours and 2 hours and 22 minutes. We went almost 2.5 hours. We didn't hit the goal. So unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for the evening. I'm going to send you on over to Off-Label Podcast. He's covering some new stuff. And you go watch him for a little while, hang out with him, and tell him I said hi, and go see him. How did they find his Reddit account? Oh, they knew it. This is a dork with the Nazi tattoo. Yeah. I was taught to never argue with a civilian and never enter a land war in Asia. Yeah, that's from that documentary called The Princess Bride. So yeah, everybody, go on over to the Off-Label Podcast. Tell them I said hi. Tell them I said hi and check it out. And you guys go over there. All right, everybody. Ended up here from Robert Gavea. Enjoyed the show. Well, thank you. Please hit like and please subscribe if you haven't already. And please come back tomorrow. He's on Rumble. Yeah, you're going to go there on Rumble. Come back here tomorrow about 10:30 for me and Joe on our Thursday night show. And or if you want to watch a show called Theory Thursday, it will be at 7 p.m. on BTM Reviews channel, where we're going to go over something with some kind of conspiracy theory stuff. But that's what we'll do. That's what will happen tomorrow night at 7 on BTM Reviews, or look at that, or at 10:30 with Joe. So you guys tell me what you want to do. I'll see you then. Come on back tomorrow for Jim to tell you the news.